why I quit YouTube first video. Oh, it's still recording. Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Demon's Corner. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. We will be getting into some horror, mystery, heck, some cryptids, some all of that stuff, all that spooky stuff here. I don't know about you, but as a viewer, I was always more curious about why. I get it, it's creepy. We can all say that, oh, isn't this thing abnormal? I, personally, just for you right there, not that person behind you, but you. I have done the research just for you, so that you can expand your noodle and get smarter about things, and then show off to your friends. Who knows, maybe you'll be like,
what's that one disease about cats and the poop?
And then you're like,
toxic exoplasmic Gandhi.
And then they're just gonna look at you like a nerd, but hey, at least you'll know you're smart. Please, stick around at the end of the video for a secret message, we can call it. Anyways, without further ado, here are some of the most weird diseases that I could think of and find as a nursing student. Okay, so number 1 on our list is gonna be gigantism/dwarfism. I put this one at number 1 because it's a little more common and we see this a lot more often in public, and in case you've ever wondered why people tend to be a bit taller or larger or maybe shorter in figure, it is because their pituitary gland up in the brain, their anterior to be precise, produces a little bit too much of what's called growth hormone. And that is what causes your cells to multiply and grow and make you just big and strong. But sometimes it makes a little too much and people get a little like bigger and stronger than the average person. And that's when you get gigantism. This affects what is called the epiphyseal plate. So let's say you got yourself your bone, you got your diaphysis, and then you got your epiphysis. And then right here is called your epiphyseal plate, and it's just right at the neck of the bone where it makes that weird heart shape. It then, causes it to multiply, and it's just too much. The body's like, oh, whoa, you gotta slow down for a second. And then, you get larger. Now, the opposite can actually be said for little people and what is medically called dwarfism. It is not necessarily an underproduction, but like a major deficiency in any sort of growth hormone. So now those bones aren't getting that like nutrition that you need to actually grow. Well, not really nutrition, but the hormone, the growth hormone, the big boy hormone. Now, due to this, their bones might not be as long as, let's say, the average person's. However, their bodies will still mature with this. Now, on the subject of excessive growth, yes. Speaking of excessive growth, we have hypertrichosis, aka werewolf disease. A lot of people say,
when you grow up, you're gonna get hair growing in very weird places.
But no, this one truly sticks to that, which is you'll start growing hair on your face, the backs of your hands, and this will be very obvious, dark, long hair. There are actually 3 stages of this, which is lanugo, which is commonly on babies that are in the womb. Next stage, it's vellus, where it's what is commonly known as peach fuzz, something you'll see on, most children's faces, their arms, and it's very, very normal. Then you reach the terminal stages of this. This is when puberty then just throws out what this hormone known as androgen. This just basically makes all this hair everywhere as dark as it can, to the point where it creates a very prominent features. Up next on our list, we have vanishing twin syndrome. Now, this one still is kind of strange because of the causes being generally unknown, but the effects being very obvious. This is when somebody is pregnant with multiple fetuses, and I say fetuses like they're parasites. No, I don't mean that at all. When they're pregnant with multiple babies. In this early stage of the first trimester, it'll generally be seen with I was gonna say a CAT scan. No, an ultrasound. Either fetus will be developing property. It's developing property. Imagine just setting up a home in your stomach. What I meant to say was, you can see if either twin is developing properly. Now, if one just so happens to not, it's usually due to a chromosomal abnormality or some sort of development abnormality. Now, when this occurs, the other twin is usually just reabsorbed back into the mother, or it'll be reabsorbed into the other twin. Up next is what is known as fatal familial insomnia. This is when your protein is misfolded, which creates what's known as a prion. Now, this will attack your body, and it's super terrible for you. In this specific prion, it attacks what's known as your central nervous system.
No, sorry, your
autonomic nervous system. And this is what controls your body's natural functions, such as your breathing, your heart rate, and other homeostasis things such as like sweating. Unfortunately, this is a progressive disorder, which means that it kind of just tends to get worse as time goes on. This can cause hallucinations, more hallucinations, insanity, and unfortunately, eventually death. So make sure you get your sleep. Not only beauty sleep, but life sleep. This next unfortunate disease actually occurs only in 1 out of 1,600,000 people. It is known as Fibro dysplasia. This terrible, terrible disease actually turns your muscles and your tendons into bones. It usually is noticed in early childhood when the neck and the shoulders down become stiff. And that is because, let's say, this neck muscle now is ossified and becomes bone. In some extreme cases, people's jaws have been ossified shut. This one sounds like it really does suck, and I'm sorry if anybody has to ever deal with this. Next up is exploding head syndrome. Oh my goodness, I could not imagine ever having this. Now, have you ever had that day where everything just sucks and you just go home, you nearly drop your keys, and with your keys you drop all your hope, and your only safe space is your bed? Now, you don't get that. Imagine just being there and then boom, just out of nowhere, a Civil War cannon just blasts straight point blank into your head. Psychologists speculate this is due to like PTSD or some sort of like traumatic experience happening before, or just everyday stressors. I actually don't know too much about it. I've done research and looked into it, and not much is known aside from what the psychologists believe. Up next is the one that I'm sure all of you have been thinking in your head.
Hey, why isn't he covering this?
Hey, you should really cover
This, I know, I hear you. Doing this research, I've actually found out that it wasn't really recognized within the medical community as fact. It has been speculated as, fact sometimes, which I find a little weird. There are actually about 200 cases. The most recent, actually in 2010, this very unfortunate Irishman just out of nowhere in his local farm home just
combust
into flames. The coroner of all the people said that the cause of death was human spontaneous combustion. So if it's good enough for the coroner over there in Ireland, I'd say it's good enough for here at Demon's Corner. Last but not least, definitely not least, we have the dancing plague of 1518. It just started off with one person dancing in the middle of the town square. Another person started coming on, and another person started adding, and then soon you got this whole medieval rave going on in the middle of this little town that is currently France. This is where it gets weird. Doctors of their time actually went to investigate and deemed it as this disease commonly known back then as hot blood. These doctors then prescribed them some sick medieval beats and a stage to just dance their life out. In about 4 months, that's exactly what they were doing. They just started dropping off like flies, just dropping off till eventually a good majority of this town just out of nowhere. It is speculated, though, that this was caused by, now get this, it was caused by LSD in the food or the water. And if you ask me, tripping out to death and dancing when the most exciting thing you did was played stickball with your local cow, I'd say that's a win. Go. And those were some of the most rare and mysterious diseases that I was able to think about and research for you, my lovely, beautiful audience. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please, if I missed anything or if there's anything that you would love to see in part 2, list it down there in the comments. I would love to interact with you and just hear what you generally have to say. Please, if you liked this video and want a part 2, please consider leaving a like. If you want to be notified when we come out with another video or something like that, there's a bell notification down there. If you flick that on, you will know right away.